HaShem sees all. Don't think he missed. Every move you make goes on this. You can hide from man, not from him. Every thought's recorded, clear not dim.
Any financial advice? Buy low, sell high. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Just questions and answers.
Don't think you can sin. Eyes above, always near. No mistake, silence for he don't hear. You can run far, but you can't escape. He formed your brain, he shapes your fate. Eyes above, through thick and thin. He sees the heart. Don't think you can sin. Every deal, every word, every quiet plan. He weighs the soul.
Yo, he made fun of the Torah. How could I like him? He makes a public apology about what he did. And we could talk. Yeah. Chilul Shem.
Before you spin, remember HaShem's watching, don't think you can see.
Got a minute. B'Shem HaShem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back here on our Wednesday night Stump the Rabbi, where after some divrei Torah, you guys will ask some questions, and Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Tonight's shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema and Hatzlacha Rabba for Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Avi Mori David ben Esriya, Imi Morati Doris bat Jora, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahides that continue to support our organization, Be'ezrat Hashem, on our website, either be'ezrathashem.org or bhtorah.org. And big yeshar koach to all of you that are doing the Tikkun HaBrit with us. It's certainly working. It's helping a lot of people. We get emails and messages from people that need help with Tikkun HaBrit every single day. And Baruch Hashem, each one of them that watches that film we've made several years ago is simply reinvigorated and has an actual path of how to do tshuva between the film and the hundreds of shurim that we've done about the topic. It helps them. So when you guys help us with the your tikkun, you're helping other people do tshuva, which actually magnifies your tikkun more than you are able to do with any other organization on planet Earth. Baruch Hashem. Also, as a reminder for you guys, we have our Kiruv store where you can get not only the books and the USBs, but you could also get one of these car magnets, or actually two. It comes in packages of two. And also a decal. This is going to turn your vehicle or store or wherever you're going to put this into a mitzvah machine that's going to help your tikkun. And as we have actually learned from the Chachamim, that one of the main things that hurts a person's parnasah, the Arizal says, that one of the main things that hurts a person's parnasah is when they have not done Tikkun HaBrit, when they have not done complete tshuva for Tikkun HaBrit. And in fact, this new book that I got recently, that the author told me about, I never heard about it, but apparently it's a new release called What Didn't You Know About Your Soul, or the Bedtime Shema in Tikkun HaBrit, or in Hebrew, Sefer Da'et Nafshecha. This is by a Chacham that Baruch Hashem brought a lot of different chidushim about the Shema Yisrael, Shema Lamita, but also about Tikkun HaBrit. And he mostly delves into the Kabbalistic end of the issues of immorality. And one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that even if you do tshuva, and this is in the name of the Arizal, even if you do tshuva for, wasting seed, immorality, but you don't do the tikkunim, that means that the blessings that were held off from you because you are sinning and now you've done tshuva, they may start coming back, but not in their full potential, because in essence it's like a pipe that still has, even after you've unclogged it, in essence it still has some remains after you've unclogged it. And that's why the tikkun is one of the main things that brings parnasah, brings a lot of blessings. And also the one of the other things that he's brought, that we've said actually in previous lectures, but it's always necessary for a generation that's constantly looking for a zivug, even though there are plenty of girls and there's plenty of guys that are looking for zivugim, but nobody can find each other. One of the reasons, says Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, is because of the issue of immorality. When a person wastes seed, in fact, it creates more damage spiritually than even if he committed immorality with another person. I understand this is hard to grasp, but nonetheless, the tikkunim are something that helps people much more than they actually realize. So, with that being said, perhaps we'll discuss it a little further later today. But, of course, what's on everybody's mind, especially the Jewish world, is what's going to happen with Iran. Is Iran going to fall or attack us? In Israel, people are worried. I had a shiur in Hebrew earlier today, and every single question, was about Iran. They're going to attack us. We're scared. What are we going to do? Because even though they're about to fall, they are in essence doing something like that's called murder-suicide, where, we're going to get our last bid against our enemies. And while they're being destroyed themselves, they want to destroy their enemies, which their number one enemy is Israel. So what's going to happen, Rabotai? What's going to happen? And what does this have to do with Parashat Vaeira? Although Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu that the salvation is coming in last week's Parashat Shmot, in fact, it looked like the picture got much, much worse before it got better. Moshe complained to Hashem. At the end of last week's Parashat, he screamed out to Hashem, cried out to Hashem, why did you make me the one for this task if you're not going to help them? Why aren't you helping them? Moshe is crying on behalf of Am Yisrael. Moshe is crying on behalf of himself. Why? You said you're going to save them, but you're not saving them. It got worse. The Egyptians are destroying and hurting. And we see that in this week's Parashat Vaeira, the salvation comes. The makot come. The plagues come. One after another destroying Egypt, as Be'ezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will destroy all of Am Yisrael's enemies one day. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that day will come soon. But before he does this, Hashem rebukes Moshe Rabbeinu. He rebukes him. He rebukes him in such a way that we have to investigate. What's really the rebuke? And what does it have to do with us today? With the situation that we have in Iran? Because as we always said, for the last 10 years, anytime you have any questions about something, you will always find it in that week's Torah portion, in that week's parasha. After that, Be'ezrat Hashem, you guys will ask some questions, and Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. And of course, if I forget, like I did last week, to answer that big question that we asked a couple of weeks ago, please remind me, and Be'ezrat Hashem will also have another question for you guys, because I know you like it, and it certainly helps you continue learning Torah until the next time we learn together. So, in Parashat Vaeira, as I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the plagues. But that's only after Moshe Rabbeinu complained that the Egyptians have made things much worse. It looks like the world is getting much worse. Iran is having a revolt while at the same time killing tens of thousands of its own people and threatening to attack Israel and different U.S. bases that are close to it within the next 24 hours. It looks like things are getting much worse. It looks like every major country that has an army has their hands on the trigger, whether it's Russia, China, or other countries. The U.S., one day they're saying that they're trying to bring good, friends, amazing. Next thing you know, they're conquering countries like we did in previous generations. Now they're talking about wanting to take over Greenland. And the reality is, I'm surprised they haven't already. I'm surprised there is even a discussion. Militarily speaking, it makes no sense for America not to control Greenland. Because in a place where you have your two major enemies, theoretically speaking, Russia and China, even though they still do business together, being able to get so close to you, do business right around the corner from you, doesn't make sense for the United States not to have control of Greenland. On the other hand, technically Greenland is another country. It has major partners and doesn't want to be sold. It doesn't want to be taken over. This could be a pretext for the next world war. It's a much bigger deal than people realize. And if that happens, don't be surprised if Canada is next. What is Canada going to do? Speak French to them and think that they're going to beat them with the war? What is Greenland going to do? Say, please, all of the UN come fight against America? So these things are around the corner. And for those of you that are not aware, Israel is not exactly off that list. Number one, we know that Esav soneit Yaakov. That's an halacha. Number two, we know that the war of Gog and Magog is coming at some point or another. And it's a series of wars. And number three, Trump actually already built a military base inside Israel, where there are American soldiers with weapons walking around in Israel as we speak. And it's only going to expand further. To say that he's not going to try to conquer that too at some point is speaking with empty words, because this is a person that's trying to make a name for himself. Again, you could say, no, but he did a lot of good things for the Jews. Yeah, what does that mean? Do you think he cares about his reputation, his name, his legacy? Or do you think he cares about what you think? He thinks he can do a better job than Netanyahu. So, you have a situation. Now you have Iran. Iran has been the major enemy of Israel for some time, teaching their children to hate Israel, teaching their women to hate Israel, teaching literally, their entire focus is to hate Israel, waiting for the atomic bomb to be in their hands. But now they have a revolt. And they realize that this revolt that they have could take down the government. But what do you do with this hate, with this built-up hate? It's been built up for decades. So they're saying, you know what? If we're going down, we might as well take down the enemies with us. Might as well take down the enemies with us. Iran is not Hamas. Hamas had little bottle rockets they're throwing at us. Iran's rockets are the size of buildings. Even though the special mission and short war where Israel attacked them was Baruch HaShem, a success, not everyone is confident that the same thing is going to happen again, especially now that they are in the most dangerous place they have been in decades. What is that dangerous place? I have nothing to lose mentality. The reason why terrorism that comes from the Muslim world is the most dangerous type of terrorism, it's the only one that's spoken about, more than terrorism that comes from other places in different countries, is because the mentality that they brainwash the terrorists and the families with is that your death is good for you. Meaning that the one thing that is the number one motivation for every sane person, which is the motivation to live, the desire to live, the number one desire that any normal person has is to live. More than money, more than intimacy, more than honor, more than anything else, is desire to live. The moment a person loses their desire to live, they're considered insane. But here you have an entire people that have taught their children, have taught the mothers of those children that they must remove the desire to live in order to succeed. So when you're fighting against an enemy that feels they have nothing to lose and only to gain by losing their life in the process of destroying you, it's not a battle that you can win without the hand of HaShem. Now you have the problem that we've had for the last few decades with groups of terrorists manifesting itself to the father of all terrorists, Iran. And they have that same desire to destroy at the cost of their life. It's a very different war than it was a few months ago. It's a very, very different war. Parashat Vaeira continues the dialogue between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu. After Moshe Rabbeinu saw Am Yisrael suffer much more than they have in the last 210 years, the suffering increased drastically. And he cried out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you're going to save them, why haven't you saved them? Why is everything getting worse? And if you pay attention to the words, the parasha starts with the word Vayidaber. Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe. Vayomer elav ani Adonai. God spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am HaShem. 4 times in this parasha, the word Vayidaber is said, that HaShem spoke to Moshe. But 12 other times, it says, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. HaShem said to Moshe. Now in the English language, saying HaShem spoke to Moshe, HaShem said to Moshe, it's synonymous, it means the same thing, but not in Hebrew. Not in Tzfat HaKodesh, not in the Holy Language. The reason why it says Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe, Chazal teaches us that this is stern words from HaShem to Moshe. In the first case, it's the rebuke, where he tells him, I am God, which we'll explain in a moment. The second time, it's a stern words in verse number 11, in chapter 6. It says, Vayidaber HaShem el Moshe le'emor, bo daber el Paro. He commands him, come to Paro. Then he says, Vayidaber HaShem el Moshe ve'el Aaron ve'itzavem el bnei Yisrael. Then he commands him again. These are commandments, meaning stern words are necessary. And then he says to him, Vayidaber HaShem el Moshe le'emor, ani HaShem. Daber el Paro. Go speak to Paro, meaning speak to him sternly yourself. But later on, when Moshe has questions about who's going to speak, I can't speak properly. He has a stammer, he has a stutter, he has both. In so many words, Hashem made him the worst speaker in the world. It's a legitimate concern. And therefore Hashem says, Vayomer HaShem le Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, meaning he spoke to him in softer words. I have made you a master of Paro, and Aaron, your brother, shall be your spokesman. You have a legitimate concern. Later on it says that Hashem spoke to Moshe again in chapter 7, verse 8. When Paro speaks to you, saying, provide a wonder for yourselves, meaning I'm telling you what's going to happen before it happens. And 10 other times it says Hashem spoke to Moshe, meaning it's not as stern. There's a difference here. There's commands, there's rebuke, where the language is stern, where it's Vayidaber. And then there's Hashem spoke, Vayomer. But what is the rebuke about? Chazal teaches us that after Moshe Rabbeinu complained that Hashem has sent him in vain, where instead of helping the people, everything has gotten worse. Everything has gotten worse. Where is the salvation? HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks harshly to Moshe in saying that your forefathers Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did not question me, even though I did not show them the miracles that I'm about to show you. You have not enough patience to see the salvation because there is a shortage in Moshe Rabbeinu's level, in your understanding that Ani HaShem, that I am God. What does that mean, I am God? Of course he's God. Who is he? He's somebody else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I am God, which means that you not only should trust me, but you must, for your own benefit. I am God, which means, Rashi says, I am trustworthy to carry out my word of rewarding the righteous and punishing the wicked. I am God. I am God that knows my nation's pain. And I will bring them salvation because that's what I promised the forefathers. Because I am God. And I'm the only one that can do it. The problem that people have, whether it's with the situation that's happening with Iran, or even their own personal sufferings, is no different in everybody's respective level, of course, lehavdil for Moshe Rabbeinu, but is no different than what Moshe Rabbeinu was dealing with here. It's a lacking in understanding what I am God means. I am God means that what I say I will do, I do not change my mind. Like the idolaters thinks I did. Like the heretics thinks I do. I am God means I say something, therefore it is as good as done. I don't change my mind. I don't lie. I don't get confused. And the fact that you are suffering right now is to your benefit. Why? In the case of Am Yisrael, I am God, and I told Avraham Avinu that his children are going to be in Egypt for 400 years. I said 400 years of sufferings. Now there's only been 210. In order for me not to lie, I have to give them 400 years worth of sufferings. So it's either leave them there for another 190 years or increase the suffering to such an extent that 190 years worth of sufferings will happen in a short period of time. Women having birth, excited. Next thing they know, they kill their kids. Fathers working, trying to build the next pyramid, build the next Pitom V'Ramses. One of my students who's a history major showed me one of the ancient writings that proves that Am Yisrael built Pitom and Ramses, as literally the Egyptian writings say that it's the Hebrews that built it. Unlike what the heretics and all the fools of the world think, that it was built by aliens or by other nations. So a father's trying to build another pyramid, another part of the city, another Pitom V'Ramses, but he doesn't meet the quota because Paro took away his material. What happens? Instead of the stone you were supposed to make, they take his kid and they put him instead of the stone. He watches his own children die. The suffering was unbearable, worse than the Holocaust. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I am God. I know who I am giving life to. I know who I'm taking life away from. I know who I'm punishing. I know who I'm rewarding. The extreme level of suffering is to your benefit, is to Am Yisrael's benefit. Why? I am cutting the time of their punishment in half. So when you're complaining that I did not bring the salvation, it's because you do not understand yet. I don't think like you. I don't operate like you. As the prophet tells us in the name of HaShem, Ki lo machshevotai machshevotechem. My thoughts are not like your thoughts. And my ways are not like your ways. People that compare human behavior to God are simply heretics. He is nothing like us. Not in thought, not in look, not in ways, not in behavior. The fact that you had an idea guarantees Hashem is not going to do it. When you think of different ways that Hashem can bring His salvation to you, you can be assured it's not going to be that. Why? Ki lo machshevotai machshevotechem. My ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Stop giving God ideas. He doesn't need them. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't think like you. You are suffering because you keep looking for ideas that you can give God. Which means you believe in the wrong God. You believe in a God that needs something. You believe in a God that is deficient of ideas, deficient of abilities. In Moshe Rabbeinu's situation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him the one and only rebuke. I am God. Meaning, I know you're new in this job, so therefore I'm rebuking you and not punishing you. And you're only crying because you're seeing your brothers and sisters suffering. But know this. As much as you know and you see the suffering, I see exponentially more. I know exponentially more, and I still choose to do that. Because it's the ultimate mercy for each and every single person. The one that's suffering more and living, his time of suffering will end sooner. The one who's suffering and dying, this will help his tikkun. And he'll be able to get to heaven instead. Or get to the next level of their carnation. Next level of their tikkun. Each and every single account I did. And just like Hashem told Job, I know the names of every one of your hairs. Names of every one of the stars. And you question? You question because you have not understood yet, I am God. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives this rebuke to Moshe Rabbeinu and thereby to us today. As the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says that every single thing that is written in the Torah and the Tanakh is written there specifically because it affects all generations. Any prophecy that was made that is only relevant to their times is not included in the Tanakh at all. Am Yisrael had over 1.2 million prophets, but only 55 of them are mentioned in the Tanakh. 48 males, 7 females. Because those 55 had prophecies that are relevant to every single generation, to every single person, for all times. Meaning, what Moshe Rabbeinu said, what Avraham Avinu said, what Yecheskel said, what Isaiah said, what David HaMelech said, every single one of the things that's mentioned is relevant to each and every single person that's watching this right now, and every single person that has lived in all of history. But when a person thinks that they have better ideas than HaShem, or they know better, then it's hard for them to understand what HaShem is trying to tell us here by saying, I am God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us the salvation that I will bring is much more than a salvation that you think you'll get. You think that you're simply going to be freed from Egypt, freed from being slaves. No. Ve'otzelti, ve'etzalti, ve'ga'alti, ve'lakachti. 4 different levels of salvation I will bring you. You are hoping just for one, but no. First of all, I will end the salvation. I will end the slavery even before you leave Egypt. And that's why he says, Ve'otzeti, I shall take you out. God will remove the Jews from the burden of slavery, even while they're still in Egypt. Veitzalti, I will rescue my kids. All of the subjugation that the Jews have been suffering, I will end them. I shall redeem you. After you leave, you will need further miracles, because the Egyptians will come chase you. And you'll be worried that perhaps they changed their mind. So I will not only split the sea for you into 12 different tunnels, one for each tribe, but I will show you with your own eyes that your enemy is destroyed and can never come back again. And if you thought that was enough, the ultimate salvation is Velakachti. I will take you as my nation, meaning this salvation is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-generation thing. You will always be my nation, and I will never change you and replace you for anybody else. When a person actually understands what is being said here, then they can start understanding what it means when Hashem says, Ani Hashem, I am God. And therefore they can apply it to their lives today when they see the world on fire, whether it's Iran becoming suicidal, or it's America wanting to pretty much dominate more parts of the world, or it's Russia or China already talking about the future war being inevitable. And the list goes on. It looks bad. It looks bleak. It looks horrible. And it will get worse. It will get much worse. Inside Israel, you have the Zionist government that's anti-Torah, hurting their own citizens because they are religious. What Paro didn't do to us, the Zionist government is doing to us. Paro let the Torah scholars learn Torah in peace. He did not even enslave them. But the Zionist government does not want us to learn Torah. It will get worse. They're going, beating up, breaking noses, breaking arms. In a couple of cases, killing young bachurim because they want to be Torah scholars. They want to serve Hashem. And the foolish people that call themselves Zionist religious, like a mix of both worlds. Like a half servant of Hashem, half heretic. They say, no, not everybody's going to be a Gdol Ador like Rav Ovadia. So whoever's not going to be a Gdol Ador, he should go to the army. If we did things based on that calculation, we would have never had a Gdol Ador. The major Torah scholars that we've had throughout all of history, the overwhelming majority of them, did not begin that way. In fact, many of them began by being viewed as the worst of the worst. There was young Bachur that was called even by his own family members, the butcher's son, as an insult. That butcher's son became the Rambam. Not everybody is grown as a child prodigy. And what people don't understand is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives chokhmah. He gives based on toil. And even if somebody does not become a Gdol Ador, the fact that they're learning Torah is bringing protection to Am Yisrael. But if somebody does not believe in the statement, I am God, then to them, you're simply taking up space by learning Torah. So you have a war against the Torah inside Israel. You have a war against the bodies of the Jewish people all over the world. Anti-Semitism is hitting high levels similar to what it was right before the Holocaust. A world war is inevitable. And Hashem says, I am Hashem. And if you believe and understand that Hashem doesn't think like us, Hashem doesn't do things like we do, doesn't operate the way we do, then this is the time where you work on your bitachon in Hashem and your trust in Hashem, and know that everything that is happening, that looks horrible, that is horrible, and everything that will happen, that looks horrible and will be horrible, is part of the grand plan of ultimate salvation, even more than the 4 different types of salvations He brought us to take us out of Egypt. And the more you believe, and the more you trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the less pain you will have. Because the vast majority of the pain that people have, especially in today's world, whether it's based on a situation that's world war or even their own personal difficulties in marriage, in business, financial, kids, the ultimate thing to understand is that the biggest suffering is self-inflicted because you have anxiety. You have no confidence. You have depression. You have victimizing yourself feelings. You have lost hope. You have worries. You have all types of things that are foreign to a person that has bitachon be'Hashem. A person that has bitachon be'Hashem does not have these anxieties, does not have these depressions, does not have these foreign things that are literally a spiritual poison to your mind and heart. I am Hashem. Hashem tells us, I am Hashem, and therefore you must trust me for your own good, because the salvation will come with or without you. And the question of how much you will suffer is based on how much confidence and trust you have in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you have no confidence, you're simply destroying yourself from the anxiety, from the stress, from the depression, from your worries, from watching the news instead of learning Torah, from thinking you can give God ideas because you know what the land looks like and you saw it on YouTube. Rabotai Karim, Hashem says, I am Hashem. I reward the righteous and I punish the wicked. As bleak as the picture looks, as dark as it looks, if you believe that God is God, the picture should be brighter than the sun. Why? The salvation's coming. Every day we are a day closer to the salvation. Whether that salvation comes tomorrow or the next day or a year from now or 10 years from now is irrelevant. The picture should look as bright as the sun in everybody's eyes that believes that I am Hashem, says Hashem. But the moment you see dark, you need to work on your Emuna and Bitachon in Hashem because it's lacking. You have anxiety, your Bitachon is lacking. You have worry, your Bitachon is lacking. You have ideas of what could bring the salvation, your Bitachon is lacking. You think you can do a better job than God, a lot is lacking, even more than Bitachon. Hashem says to our leader Moshe Rabbeinu, I am Hashem. And he's telling us, dear world, the same God that brought us the salvation in the past is the same God we have today. Salvation's coming. You could feel the pleasure of the salvation today by knowing that God is God, or you could simply suffer until it does. The choice is yours. These are the words that we saw in the Torah as we were learning the parasha. And Rabotai Karim, the sages teach us there are certain things that always need strengthening, always need chizuk, and bitachon is one of them. Now is a time that if you don't have bitachon, you have suffering. You have heartaches, you have worries, you have misery, and your bank account is irrelevant. Your marriage is irrelevant. Your kid, everything becomes irrelevant. Why? You become a walking depressed person because everything is dark when you don't have bitachon in Hashem. There's a strong recommendation to everybody is to watch the series we made about bitachon. Bitachon BeHashem, it's only 19 lectures. And after you finish that, watch the first 20 lectures of Jewish Ashkafa. It's almost like a continuation of that series. Watching those nearly 40 lectures is going to simply change your lack of bitachon to actually having bitachon. But if you think it's just going to come to you by itself, you're mistaken. Hashem gave us the Torah. The Torah is instructions. That's what Torah means. It's instructions. Instructions how to live. Not just how to live your day-to-day life in going to shul and doing mitzvot, but how to live through this right now and what's happening and what's going to happen. You could already feel the pleasure of the salvation every single day. How much of it you see depends on how much bitachon and Hashem you have. If you feel like you can't do and everything is too much for you, that's because you're lacking in your bitachon in Hashem. You're thinking that you're doing anything. Hashem is there, whether you realize it or not. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, although it looks like I'm not there, I'm not only there, I'm the one doing it. I'm the one doing it. And despite all the suffering, the anguish, the pain, the death, out of all of the choices that are possible, I still choose this, because this will bring the ultimate salvation to each and every single person involved in the best possible way. Something that's incomprehensible to any human being. Because how could death be a salvation? How could losing an arm be a salvation? How could losing a child be a salvation? How could suffering and back pain be a salvation? How could losing money be a salvation? How could suffering, loss, pain, how could it be a salvation? You only think that way because you think you know better than God. I am Hashem, says Hashem. I know better than you. I know better than you. I know all the choices available to you, and I always choose the best one for you. And therefore, the more you understand what I am Hashem means, the less you will suffer, regardless of the pain that's around you. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will all take upon ourselves to strengthen our hearts, get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and toil as much as absolutely necessary every single day to feel what I am Hashem means. Not just say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, but feel it. Not just say I believe in God. Know God. Know what it means that Hashem runs the world. Know what it means. En od milvado. The more en od milvado you have in you, the less worries, the less concern, the less anxiety. Why? Because you know that this is the best out of all of the possible choices. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose it for you. And no one can choose better than him. Your ideas of salvation will not be. Why? Hashem's salvation is better than yours. Hashem's salvation is better than yours. So the more we believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world and he is the one that's making the best choices for all of us individually and nationally, the easier and more pleasant our lives are going to be, despite the chaos that's around us. Now, Rabotai, before we go into the questions, we'll answer the question that we asked a couple of weeks ago, where you had a poor guy in the business of grains trying to make ends meet, and one day the timing is right and there's a shortage of food, shortage of grains, to such a point that people have to pay much more for the same grains they bought yesterday, for the same grains they bought a week ago. Hyperinflation. This continues for a while until people literally decide that they have to sell their houses in order to be able to have enough money to buy grains before they go up even further. This poor guy becomes very wealthy, and now they're selling their houses to him. He buys the houses. They sign the contracts. The next day, or a week later, 2 ships full of grains show up to town. And the people come to the guy and tell him, listen, we didn't know that the ships are coming with grains. Price of grains has dropped back to normal. We want our houses back. He's like, listen, I'll sell your houses, but for 10 times the price. No, we got to cancel the transaction. What are you supposed to do according to the Torah? Now, some said, cancel the transaction. Okay, that's easier said than done. He bought it. There's a contract. Some say, listen, business is business. He bought high, he bought low, he sold high. It's too bad they didn't have a different solution, but that's what it is. If I bought a company and the next day Microsoft buys it for me, the owner can't come to me and say, listen, I don't want to sell you the company anymore. Listen, I bought it. The fact that Microsoft bought it from you or somebody bought it from me for 100 times more, that's my gain, your loss. But that's not the way it works in this case. Why? Torah law says there's something called mekach ta'ut. Mekach ta'ut means that you are making a transaction based on missing information or faulty information. What's the faulty information? Had we known that the ships are going to be here, that are even on the way here, we would have never sold our houses. We would have just simply waited for them to come. But the fact that they came and we already sold our houses shouldn't hurt us because, again, we would have transaction. And according to the Torah law, Allah says this mekach ta'ut makes the whole transaction null and void. Meaning he doesn't sell them back the houses in exchange for the money. Rather, they cancel the entire transaction. He gives them back the exact amount that they gave him, or they give him back the exact amount that he paid them, and he gives them back all of their houses. That's the answer. Some of you got canceling the transaction correct, but not for the right reason. So we always have to understand that there's not just right or wrong, there's a reason according to the Torah. We'll ask another question, and certainly this one is going to be interesting as well. There was a guy that used to buy Aliyot in the Beit Knesset. You know, he wants to go up and get an Aliyah to the Torah, and he felt that the sixth Aliyah or the third Aliyah, whichever one it is, has a special meaning. And therefore, he would always buy it for years. For years, he was the guy that was always buying it, so much so that people wouldn't even bid for it. He would just automatically be the one that bought it. One day, the Gabbai that sells the Aliyot was out on a trip, and somebody else replaced him to sell the Aliyot. And when he got to that particular Aliyah, he didn't give the guy, Reuven, the message that it's his turn, he has to buy this Aliyah. Rather, you said, okay, whoever wants to buy this Aliyah, 50, 200, whatever it is. And Reuven was busy reading something, and he didn't even know that the Aliyah's turn, because he's used to it, he always gets the Aliyah. When Shimon saw that nobody's bidding for it, he said, I'll pay 50 for it. The Gabbai said, okay, anybody else? Nobody else? Sold. Shortly after, came time for the Aliyah itself, and Shimon was about to go up to the Aliyah. And Reuven said, oh, what are you doing? You know I'm the one that buys that Aliyah all the time. He said, listen, I bought it today. I bought it. Yeah, but come on, please, do me a favor. It's my Aliyah. It's very special to me. Shimon says, fine, no problem. I'll sell it to you for 1,000. Because he knows how much he wants it. So, it's mine. If you want it, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for 1,000. I paid 50 for it. Obviously, the people in the shul saw this, and people had different opinions. One said, wait, how can you sell it for 1,000? He said, well, I bought it. It's mine. I can either get the Aliyah myself, or I can sell it to him for whatever I want. It's like selling a house, selling a bike, selling anything else. Another person said, yeah, but you can't. Come on, that's ugly. You can't do stuff like that. Because, listen, when you buy an Aliyah, you do what you want with it. Don't tell me what to do with my stuff. I bought it like anything else. Now, Reuven is willing to pay any price for it. Baruch Hashem, he has the money. So it's not the money that's the issue here. He wants the Aliyah. What do you do? Can he sell it to him for 1,000? Or does he have to sell it to him for 50? Or some other middle ground? Because technically, if you haven't paid attention, it's not exactly Shimon's fault that Reuven missed it. Reuven should have paid attention. Can I benefit from an Aliyah or no? That's the question. Those of you that go to Beknesset, by Aliyot, perhaps this is something that you have seen yourself. And even if you didn't, it's very common in every Beknesset to sell Aliyot. And the sages say that every person that goes to Beknesset should try to get at least one Aliyah per month. But again, some Beit Knesset, you could buy the Aliyot, for just a few dollars. Other Beit Knesset, it's very, very expensive. So it depends. Depends on your financial situation. It depends on the Beit Knesset. But nonetheless, this is the question.
I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend. We did it. AI Rabbi is here. It's an AI model that is based on kosher Torah sources, 30 different languages that are available to you. So if you want to ask it in Spanish, in Chinese, Portuguese, whatever you want to do, it's available for you. Can you tell me about Rabbi Akiva? So it's time-stamped to the shiur. You press this green button, AI Rabbi on your WhatsApp. You'll have the ability to ask questions at will. You'll be provided sources, and most importantly, you'll be able to know the truth and be able to rely on the sources.
So, now you guys can start asking some questions, and Be'ezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Of course, we have the typical Erev Rav trying to disrespect, insult, but don't respond to them because it just fuels their fire, and it's better that they're here insulting me or wasting their time instead of insulting other people and causing sins elsewhere. Let's see. Why is the Talmud insulting Goyim? Well, it depends if what you're referring to is insults to the Goyim, because there are different comments about Jews and Goyim, which is the nations, in the Talmud. When it's referring to righteous Jews, it gives them compliments, it gives them praises. When it's referring to wicked Jews, it gives them criticisms, it gives them curses, it gives them insults, forbidden to marry them. They are like, the worst of the world, imach shimam v'zichram, and so on. And the same concept applies to non-Jews, to Goyim. When it's righteous Goyim, then there's praises, lots of praises. There's even one of the books in the Tanakh is the book of Job. That's he wasn't Jewish. In fact, Ovadia, also another book in the Tanakh, he was not a Jew originally. He was a non-Jew that eventually converted. So the point is that there are compliments for righteous people, Jews and Gentiles, and there are criticisms and insults and horrible, horrible words about wicked people. So if you were taught that there's only insults about Goyim, then you are taught from anti-Semites that like to selectively choose things based on their bias. If you simply did not know, then now you know. There are praises and criticisms about everyone, Jews and Gentiles, based on their actions. If they're righteous according to the Torah, they get praises. If they're wicked, they get insults, criticism, curses, and even an obligation to hate them. Certain types of wicked people that are heretics, idolaters, missionaries, and so on. The same concept goes for non-Jews. It says all non-Jews are like animals. No, it doesn't. It doesn't say all non-Jews are like animals. Again, it's referring to a certain type of non-Jew, and it's not saying that they are like animals, like we are going to eat them. But rather, it's referring to the way that they treat morality, the way that they treat intimacy. And the fact is that anyone that does not have the Torah as their priority number 1, 2, and 3 in their life is going to have lust as their priority number 1, 2, and 3 in life. Look at your friends. Look at your peers. Look at the streets. Look at the television. Look at the news. What is the priority in their life? Lust. They're constantly projecting lust, thinking about lust, talking about lust. They're marketing lust to literally just to buy soap or candy or dishwasher or anything. You have to look at some prutza that is showing you the product. Why do I need to look at some half-naked woman just because I want to buy soap or toothpaste or candy or anything? Why do I need a law firm that is marketing their business to show me a woman that's half-naked? Why? Why do I need every single commercial that's on, whether it's online or on media, to constantly show me women that have forgotten to put clothes on? Why? Why is the number one business marketing in the world constantly promoting that? Because that's what's on people's mind. That's what's on people's mind. In fact, if you are a young man, or you remember when you were younger, in high school, as a single person, in your teens, in your 20s, after everybody goes to work or they go to school, what's the first thing they're thinking about? Oh, who I'm going to hang out with tonight? Whose number did you get? Wait, you don't have anything else? You don't have anything else on your mind? No, they don't have anything else on their mind. No, they don't. All they think about is that. And no one can deny it. It's so disgusting that it's actually infiltrated the public school system. So much so that they are using textbooks and children's books that are promoting pornography to little children in America. This is not an invention I made. You could literally find it everywhere. There are court cases fighting schools and hearings in practically every city in America of parents complaining of, why are you promoting pornography to 5-year-old kids? Why are you promoting pornography to 10-year-old, 12-year-olds? Do you know why? Because that's all in their mind. That's it. That's all they can think of. They think that everything has to do with that. That's their end-all, be-all. That's what they think about in the morning. That's what they think about during lunch. That's what they think about after school, after work, it's constant. It's constant everywhere. Whether you're marketing a online business, a technology business, a drink, or whatever it is, it's constant promotion of provocative immorality and simply telling people this is their new God. So that's what animals are like. If you ever see an animal, let's say, for example, you see a bull that they want to breed, what do? They don't send the bull and put him on some matchmaker that puts him on a website. Hey, do you guys have a cow? Maybe they'll like each other's personality? No. You know what they do? They take 200 cows, female cows, and they release the bull inside. And guess what? Amevin Yavin. What happens. That's how animals are. That's their instinct. We are not supposed to be that way. We are supposed to be servants of HaShem. We are supposed to be humans, where a man marries a woman and a woman marries a man. Today, the immorality and filth is to such a level that it's become normalized to do all of the things that were taboo just 25 years ago. 25 years ago, LGBTQ was taboo. It was called being in the closet. Today, there's no closet. It doesn't exist. 30 years ago, pornography was taboo. Today, they promote it to children. So, that's like animals. That's like animals. But it's not only pertaining to non-Jews. It's pertaining to anyone that does not have the Torah as their priority in their life. Because the Torah is what teaches us morality. The Torah is what teaches us holiness. And as the Ramban said 700 years ago, and Rashi said 900 years ago, you will never find a place of holiness if there's immorality. There's no such thing as an immoral, righteous person, an immoral, holy person. Holiness is antithetical to immorality. Immorality is antithetical to holiness. And that's why in the world today, you have not only the promotions of all this filth everywhere, whether to children or adults alike, but you're also seeing it in the so-called important people world. Every other day, there's another celebrity or important person that is exposed for their pedophilia or their perversions every other day. You thought he was a nice actor or politician or CEO, and you found out that really he's the filthiest, most disgusting person in his neighborhood. And you can't even say in the world, because tomorrow you'll find out someone worse than him. Every day. Every day is another expose. Politicians, presidents, CEOs, teachers. Every day. Every day. But don't think this is only affecting the non-Jewish world. One of the most disgusting desecration of God's name that has happened in recent years is that a guy that says he used to work as a rabbi, which is hard for me to believe, but nonetheless he says in his interview that he used to work as a rabbi before he became a disgusting filth. He actually runs the number one pornography company in the world. Now, obviously, he's not a rabbi. Obviously, he has nothing to do with being a rabbi. But, needless to say, he's Jewish. And needless to say, he's a piece of garbage. That has nothing to do with Judaism. What he's doing is antithetical to Judaism. But to the world at large, this is a very confusing message. Why? Because they don't understand what it means to be righteous, wicked, according to the Torah. If he's a rabbi, then he must know. If he's a rabbi, if he says he's a rabbi, he must be a rabbi. It's like saying that, all teachers are bad because they found out that one teacher is a pedophile. That teacher is a criminal. The rest of the teachers that are not criminals. So, there's a lot of confusion out there. And you have to understand that if a person wants to follow the Torah, Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, writes in Tana Devei Eliyahu, I swear to you, he says, this is the words that he says, I swear to you, whether man or woman, young or old, Jew or Gentile, servant or mistress, meaning a woman servant, everyone can get to a level of Ruach HaKodesh based on their actions. If you go and you follow the Torah, you can get to a level of Ruach HaKodesh, which is divine providence, divine intervention. But in so many words, it's something beyond what, everybody in the world has. But he says, Jew or Gentile, woman or man. Now, of course, there's a bunch of psychopath and delusional people that tell their followers, congregants, and their readers that they have divine intervention. This is all nonsense. People that have divine intervention, people that have Ruach HaKodesh, do not talk about Ruach HaKodesh. I promise you that. But nonetheless, Elijah the prophet writes this in a book called Tana Devei Eliyahu, that he swears, meaning this is in the name of Hashem. Everyone can get to the high level of righteousness, all according to their abilities, who they are, what they are, but everybody can get to a very high level. And everyone can get to a very low level. So yes, there is Jews that are giants, holy, Kodesh Kodeshim, amazing people. And unfortunately, there are the exact opposite. Jews that are the worst of the worst, like this so-called former rabbi. And of course, there's Gentiles that could be good, and there's Gentiles that are bad. But the point is, you have to understand, everything that's written in the Talmud has context. If you avoid the context, and you just read the few words that the anti-Semites like to highlight, you will never get the full message. You will just get the biased message. But the reality is, once you understand the context, not only do you see that it's not a bad message, but in fact you see it's as true as truth is. It's as truth can be, because you see it in your life. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And when Mashiach comes, obviously it's all going to end, but until then, everyone has to overcome their obstacles and their tests and do the best they can to fulfill what HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded each and every one of us. Jews have to fulfill what the Torah says for Jews, and Gentiles have to fulfill what the Torah says for Gentiles. How can a Noachide ask Hashem to endure a sickness and ask for health? Pray. Pray to Hashem. Ask Him to heal you. Certainly give Him a good reason of why. What good have you done? What good you want to do? What good are you doing to publicize this Torah, to help people do TeShuva? The more good you do, the more there's a reason to help you. Because once you start publicizing Hashem's Torah and help people do TeShuva, whether it's by supporting organizations like ours or whatever other strategies you may find, then it's not just your merit that is being the one that's on the line, but rather the merit of those that you are helping. So the more you actually help people do TeShuva, get closer to Hashem, the more their merit is actually going to help you get more blessing. Despite attending your lectures on Bitachon, having read Garden of Emuna, I have difficulty effectively applying this knowledge and practice. It's as if there's a disconnect between what I've heard and read and my own thoughts and feelings. How can I overcome this? Number one, watch the lectures again. Number two, work on your ego, because the more a person believes in their own abilities, the less they're going to believe in Hashem's salvation. So it's a combination of submitting to the Almighty and nullifying our own ego. Do you believe that there will be a Messiah that comes and unites the Jews? It's not a matter of believe or don't believe. What our prophets have told us, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has told us, is that the Mashiach will come. And the Mashiach will bring salvation. As David HaMelech says, Uba leTzion goel leshaveh pesha beYaakov. He's going to bring salvation to those people that have done tshuva, that have repented for their sins and are going in the way of Torah. Which means that if Jewish people follow the Torah, they'll be saved. They'll have the salvation. Those that don't will not. And in fact, in the movie that we made called Gog Magog, over there we bring countless sources of how the salvation will only come to those people that are righteous. Righteous Jews and righteous among the nations. And anyone that is not considered righteous according to the Torah will be punished. So there's no such thing as he's going to unite. If a person is righteous, he's already united with other righteous Jews. If a person is wicked, there's nothing to unite, because even HaShem says through the prophet Isaiah, En shalom Hashem emal l'reshaim. God says no peace to the wicked. There's no peace. If Hashem decides everything, why do we say that a tzaddik can change a decree? Because Hashem decides everything, and He can decide that the merit of the tzaddik is what He wants, is the will of Hashem. Why? Because before the tzaddik's merit was part of consideration, it was the merit of somebody else that wasn't exactly a tzaddik, or did not have enough merits. So the will of Hashem was based on that calculation. Once the tzaddik's prayers or merits were in consideration, now the will of Hashem changed. Why? Because there's a different account. It's like going into an investment firm, and they see, okay, you're presenting yourself as somebody that has $100,000. So even though this investment firm would have preferred for you to have $100 million, they'll still want your money to invest it so they can make fees. That's how they make a living. So what do they bring you? They bring you products that are available to a $100,000 investment. They'll bring you mutual funds, ETFs. They'll bring you somebody to manage your account in a passive way. They'll give you different products that are catered for somebody in your size. But if you brought your best friend that is a co-investor with you, and he happens to have $100 million, guess what? The choices change. Not because you suddenly have $100 million. You still have $100,000. But now you've become a co-investor with your best friend because he wants to give you more options. And guess what? He has more options. He now has hedge funds available. He has, a private capital. He has all types of things available. Why? Better choices. Why? Because he has more money. Same concept in regards to your question. When a person has limited amount of merits, then the choices and possibilities for that person are limited based on their limitations, their merits. But when the merits of a tzaddik are in the consideration now, he became in essence a co-investor with this person. Now the options are different. Glad you liked the answer. Baruch Hashem. Are Ashkenazis from Yafet Jews? No. All Jews are from Shem. Unless it's a convert, but even that, sages that say that the neshama of the converts were at Mount Sinai, and Rizal says that many converts actually used to be Jews, but got punished for different bad deeds that they did, so they had to reincarnate as non-Jews, and their tikkun was to convert. So it's a combination of things. Is the Reform movement a mockery? Of course it's a mockery. First of all, the Reform movement openly says that they do not believe that God gave the Torah to Moses. Not the written Torah, not the oral Torah. Second of all, the Reform movement accepts non-Jews as Jews, meaning that they do not follow what Jewish law is. Third, they do not observe the mitzvot. They don't observe Shabbat, Kashrut, all of the different things. So they can call themselves Reformed Jews. They call themselves, Pokemon for all I care. But they're not, they're not following the Torah. They're mocking the Torah. In fact, they even highlight how they give a bar mitzvah and put tefillin on dogs, which is a complete desecration of God's name and a mockery of the Torah. Thank you for the blessings. What's my AI Rabbi? What? What's the app website for the AI Rabbi is literally airabbi.org. AIRABBI.org. Over there, you'll be able to download the app to your Android or to your iPhone, and you can subscribe. I recommend people subscribe for a year at a time because you'll be able to save almost 20% on price. And it's a very, very good app. It gives great answers, sources. They may not always agree with your state of mind, but they certainly agree with the Torah. No, pigs are not going to become kosher. Do you recommend for Noahides to learn from Rabbi Lev Lerner? I recommend everybody to learn from Rabbi Lev Lerner. He's a fantastic Talmid Chacham, Tzaddik, Yirei Shamayim. He's part of the Bezat Hashem organization. He's somebody that's very, very dedicated to HaShem, to teaching Torah. He helps people beyond what people's realize, and he's just an amazing tzaddik. I think extremely highly of him, and Baruch Hashem, we're big fans. We're big fans. So anybody that could learn, sure, it's a big schut. It's a big schut. And he has lectures covering so many different topics, halacha, ashkafa, different things. So certainly. Does the Torah teach us to eat cannabis? No. Rabbi, what time do the At what time do the process of conversion could it wear talit like a Sephardi? After conversion. The day after you convert, you put on a talit and tefillin, or the day of conversion. The reason is because you don't want anyone to think that you're already Jewish before you converted and end up making a mistake by counting you for minyan, which could end up causing the entire keilah to sin, because if, let's say, you're the 10th person and they think you're Jewish because you have a talit on and they count you as the 10th person, they therefore bring the Torah out, they read from the Torah, they say Kaddish, and all of it is a sin. All of it is using Hashem's name in vain. So you don't want people to think that you are Jewish, and even though you could say, no, but everybody knows me, can't rely on that. Can't rely on that. Once you convert, then you put on talit, put on tefillin, everything. Can you read Sanhedrin 58b? I've read it already, Baruch Hashem. I think you're very lenient on us goys. Not a matter of lenient or strict. I tell you what the Torah says, and that's it. There's no mitzvah to be stringent on everything. People think that you just have to be stringent on everything and be extreme on everything, and that makes you more righteous. No, it's in fact Rabbi Ovadia Yosef used to say, people that are constantly machmir, constantly stringent on everything, end up being chamorim. Machmir ends up being a chamor, ends up being a donkey. Why? Because that's not what the objective of the Torah is. It's not. You're not supposed to be stringent on everything and extreme on everything. There's what the Torah says, and that's it. If somebody wants to be stringent on certain things for themselves, that's fine. But to be stringent on yourself rather than is one thing than to teach other people to be stringent. The drug addict is back. The guy that keeps promoting drugs. He keeps saying that the Torah is, says it's allowed. He is unfortunately a very sick person. It's from the drugs. Rabbi, could you go further into this? But in New York, some years ago, there was a tzaddik who resuscitated a brain-dead girl with prayers in ICU. I know nothing about it. Never heard of it. Is it true that the words of the Torah can give and add more life to a sick person? Absolutely true. That's what the Torah says. Rabbi, do you agree with this quote from the book? It says, Hashem loves me just as I am. His love has nothing to do with what I do and don't do. He loves me because that is the essence. No, it's false, because it says that Hashem loves Yaakov and et Esav saneti. And also it says that Hashem hates the wicked. He pays them, he punishes them. So to say Hashem loves you no matter what is not true. It's not in accordance to the Torah. A Kabbalist, I don't know, again, I can't comment on something I never heard. Okay, let's see. Rabbi, is it true that the Messiah can only come when all Jews are in Israel? No, it's not true. Messiah could come at any given moment, whether all the Jews are in Israel or not. And the reality is that all of the Jews have not been in Israel for thousands of years. The only time that all of the Jews were even close to being everybody in Israel was at the time of Yeshua ben Nun, but even then, all of the Jews were not in the land of Israel because a couple of the tribes chose to settle outside of Israel. So it's never happened before, and it's not a requirement for Mashiach to come. If you look at the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, Perek Chelek, it talks about the two ways the Mashiach can come, and one way is if all of the Jews do tshuva, then Mashiach will come in a good way. If they don't, then HaShem will send them Haman, or a leader, an enemy leader like Haman or Nebuchadnezzar, to force people to do tshuva. But at the same token, that doesn't mean that everyone will do tshuva. There's still going to be Erev Rav, enemies of the Torah, and but at no point does anybody say that all of the Jews have to be in Israel in order for Mashiach to come. It's not even a Torah obligation to live in Israel. You have many Chachamim throughout all of history that lived outside of Israel, and modern day Israel it's a wonderful place, but it's not an obligation to live there. We saw that Rav Ovadia was a rabbi in Egypt for a few years. The Rambam lived in Egypt, in Spain. Rashi lived in France. The Talmud Bavli was written in Babylon, in Iraq. So I mean, it's if it was a Torah obligation for everybody to live in Israel, or a requirement for everyone to be in Israel for the Mashiach to come, then things would be very, very different, not just now, but throughout all of history. Where is the Mashiach at this moment? Is he a man born into a family? So I'll answer with a couple of parts. Number one, Mashiach is definitely a man. He's definitely a human being born, from parents, a father and a mother, a natural birth. It's not some type of divine birth like they have in the idolatrous world of Christianity. It's a regular human being that is one of the descendants of King David, from the tribe of Yehudah, and he has to fit certain requirements. The Rambam gives us in Ilchot Melachim the requirements of who would be fit to even be a possibility of Mashiach. And everything I've just said is included in there. And there's others. He has to be a Torah, learn Torah, to fulfill the will of HaShem, fight the wars of HaShem, and so on. But that's part one. Second thing is, the Mashiach does not know that he's Mashiach, or that he's going to be selected to be Mashiach, until HaShem tells him, which is when the time comes. So a person could be a possibility of a Mashiach. In every generation, there's a possibility of a Mashiach. But if we don't have the merit, or the time has not come, then that person that was a possibility of Mashiach could live their life, pass on, and then somebody, the soul is brought back to the world again in a different body. Meaning that every generation has someone that is potentially could be the Mashiach, but he's not going to know any of that until Hashem actually chooses him. Now, in order for somebody to be Mashiach Mamash, where they definitely are Mashiach, they have to fight all of the enemies of Israel. They have to bring all the Jews to Israel. They have to make Am Yisrael do tshuva. They have to build the Bet HaMikdash, which again no one has ever done. Mashiach is the only one that's going to be able to do all of these different things. So as far as, is there a Mashiach in the world right now? No, not one that knows he is, or has been made aware that he is. Is there a soul in the world that could be the Mashiach? Sure. In every generation there is. But again, they're only going to know once the time comes. Now, as far as this question that you've asked, where is Mashiach right now? is not a new question. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, one of the 10 righteous people that never died, he went to Gan Eden alive. He was such a tzaddik that Aliyah Navi was his friend. Aliyah Navi would constantly visit him, take him to different places, showed him Gan Eden. Even the Satan, the Malach HaMavet, was friends with him. He showed him Gehenom. It's part of the ways that we know different details about Gehenom. We know from Yehoshua ben Levi. We know from the prophet Isaiah. We know from Moshe Rabbeinu. Several different people went and saw Gehenom and reported to Am Yisrael what is actually there, the chambers, the different forms of punishments, and so on. And the same concept in Gan Eden. But the point being is that Yehoshua ben Levi asked Eliyahu Navi, where's Mashiach? Why isn't he coming? And Eliyahu Navi said to him, go ask him. Where is he? He's at the gate of Rome, gate of Romi. Now, some Chachamim said this is not like gate of Rome, like the country Rome, but rather there was a city at the time in Israel that was called Romi. And I think till this day there's a city or a town or something like that's called that. But anyway, he went over there and there was a tent full of sick people. And all of them were injured from, different diseases or war or, there was like a hospital. And he saw that everyone, and this is all in the Talmud, this is all in the Gemara, he saw that everyone is, when it's time for them to replace their bandages that are all over their body, they take off all of the bandages, or let's say if it's on their arm or whatever, they take off all of the bandages, and then they replace everything at once. But the Mashiach, he would replace only one at a time. He was he had bruises all over his world, which the Midrash talks about how it's has to do with different types of. You know what? I'm going to skip that part too. It's just too elevated to explain to the public. But the point is, the Mashiach was there, shown to Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, and he would take off the bandages one at a time. And Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi came to him, Kvodo, he came to him, my master, I have a couple of questions for you. One is, how come you take your bandage off differently than everybody else? And two, when are you going to come? And he told him, I take it off one at a time because at any moment, God can decide for me to come, to finally bring the salvation. And if I took off all the bandages at once, that would delay the salvation. So I take them off only one at a time. This obviously has a lot of, mystical meanings and different clarifications, but I'm giving you the pshat here of what was said in the Gemara. And he says, when are you going to come? He says, today. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi was excited, waited that day, and he never came. So the next time that he saw Eliyahu Navi, he said, what, the Mashiach lies? He says, Mashiach didn't lie. What did he say to you? He says, he's coming today. He says, no, you didn't understand him. What the Mashiach was telling you is that I'm going to come today when you do tshuva. When Am Yisrael does tshuva, on that day I'm coming. That's what he meant. Meaning that the language obviously is not simple, not plain, but it's obviously everything has much more elevated meanings. But nonetheless, the soul of the Mashiach is in every single generation, and that Mashiach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu eventually selects and so on is going to know only in essence when it's time. But like I said, there could be somebody that's designated, that's possible to be a Mashiach, but if he does not fulfill all of the requirements, which is to fight the wars of God, build the Beit HaMikdash, bring all of the 12 tribes together, which means that he has to find a bunch of tribes we don't even know where they are in the world. There's only just a few of the 12 tribes that we know of. There's a little bit of Menashe, a little bit of Benjamin, Yehuda, Levi, But there's the majority of the tribes, we don't even know where they are, and the Gemara says that they are behind the mountains, but only the Mashiach is going to know for sure who's really a Kohen, who is not, who is a Mamzer, who's not, who's really tribe of what. He's going to know all of these different things, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, going to give him certain abilities at a certain point. And Beruach Piv Yamit Rasha, that he's going to be able to destroy the enemies simply with the breath of his mouth, just simply by words. He could look at the enemy, Iran, coming to attack, and it says, destroy, and that's it. They're all gone. There's no like tanks and planes and chemical weapons or anything like that. So the point is that there's a whole teachings, there's a whole process, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we will merit to see it. Such waste. If Art Scroll and Feldheim don't carry the book Birkot Eliyahu, would it be possible to purchase it from Amazon if the publisher is Aleph to Tav? Yeah, Birkot Eliyahu is sold on Amazon. It's not sold by those. Yeah. Eating every herb in the field is extremely healthy. You're a mentally challenged person. Say a lot of foolish things. You should get some help. Does Mashiach have to come before the year 6000? Yes. But we have time before the year 6000, but that doesn't mean that he's going to wait for the last second. It could be tomorrow. It's not good to focus on Mashiach coming all the time, because if a person puts the majority of their belief in the Torah and focus on learning Torah just about timing the Mashiach, they could eventually lose hope or lose steam, because they're giving the Yetzirah the ability to make the mistake, and where let's say they think that Mashiach is going to come in the next year, or in the next 5 years, or in the next 10 years, and they have such high hopes for that to happen. And if it doesn't happen, this is a problem. In fact, this is something that Am Yisrael has endured as a problem for many years. People that focus too much on the timing of Mashiach, and many times they end up, dropping the Torah because they lose hope because he didn't come at the time that they thought. So the key is to understand that whether Mashiach comes tomorrow or next year or in 10 years from now, our obligation to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and get other Jews to do tshuva and to fulfill the mitzvot is the same. And therefore, a person should always do everything in their power to become more righteous, do everything in their power to help as many people as possible to become more righteous. And the Mashiach timing should not be their primary motivation, because like I said, many times when people make that their priority, they're in essence giving themselves like a death sentence, if you will, because they at some point a person runs out of patience. So we have to expect the Mashiach to come every single day, but not operate our life in such a way where this is the only motivation we have. Our motivation should be that we have to serve HaShem. Does Judaism believe this world is flawed and evil? No, it's Hashem created the world. Why would it be flawed and evil? Hashem created the world. The world is called Olam Asiyah, the world that we have things to do in order to perfect it. Hashem, in essence, made us partners in a creation that it's our obligation and our duty to perfect it, to make it better. If Mashiach ben Yosef dies in battle, he cannot be Mashiach because he dies without fulfilling the prophecy. That's not true. Mashiach ben Yosef can die, and it does not contradict the prophecy, because the Mashiach ben Yosef is not the Mashiach ben David. Those are two different Mashiachs. And the Gemara in Masechet Sukkah says that Mashiach ben Yosef is going to live or die based on the merits of Am Yisrael. If we have the merit, then he won't die. And if we don't, then he will. But the salvation, ultimate salvation, comes from Mashiach ben David. Is it better to die alone than to marry a wicked woman? Why can't you marry a righteous woman, or make the wicked woman righteous? Are we really in the year 5786? Yes. If I still struggle with wasting seed, is it still possible to convert? Yes, according to halacha, you could still convert, but you certainly should overcome the obstacle in order to have the merit to convert. Are we born sinners, or is that from the New Testament? You're born a baby. Whether you choose to be a sinner or not is based on what you do as an adult. Not, as far as if a person is sinned in their previous life before they came to this world, because we're all reincarnations, and certainly if you came to this world, the overwhelming majority of the people that are in the world are souls that have reincarnated from previous lives because they have sinned and they have not completed their tikkun. There are very, very few and new neshamot, and those are usually extremely holy, righteous people. They're not usually known to the public, but the point is that virtually everybody is a reincarnation of somebody that has sinned, and but at the same time merited having being given another chance to fix it during his life. Could the wheat and the spelt at the end of the parasha allude to the righteous Jews and Gentiles after Mashiach comes? I mean, it could be from the, midrash on it. I would have to look at. I don't remember seeing it anywhere, but it's the Torah is endless. Every verse, every word has pardes, pshat, remez, drash, sod. So it's four different aspects of the Torah, and there's different rules of extrapolating meanings from it, and the sages have given us all of the different things that you have, whether it's in the Gemara or it's in the Midrashim or it's in the Kabbalistic books. But certainly it's possible, but not something that I remember seeing. What does it mean when it says that pig will be? Oh no, it's pig is not going to become kosher. The Chachamim explain that the nation of Edom is symbolized by the pig, because they, the pig shows like he's kosher because he has split hooves, but he's really not. And the nation of Edom, many of them are going to convert to Judaism. But initially they are, they many of them grow up showing as if they are the new chosen people, the new covenant, and so on. And the whole teachings of this, the pig becoming kosher is not referring to an actual pig becoming kosher. It's the fact that many righteous people will come from the nation of Edom and convert to Judaism. I'm Chinese. If I convert, will I become from the tribe of Israel? Will my DNA change? You'll become the tribe of Israel, yes. As far as which tribe, meaning out of the 12 tribes, only the Mashiach can decide what converts are going to be, because you can't just decide you're going to be Yehuda or you're going to be Reuven or something like else. So converts, the actual tribes, are going to be unveiled to us, of which ones they are once the Mashiach comes. But certainly you are going to be, once you convert, you become 100% Jew. And in fact, the obligation of Jews to love a convert are even higher than the obligation of loving a natural-born Jew. And the Rambam writes that we are obligated to love each other, that you're obligated to love every Jew. But when it comes to the converts, we're obligated to love them even more, incomparable to as much as we love God. So if you convert, then you become higher than what I am. So as far as that's concerned. But of course, the conversion is not the end result. The conversion is simply part of the path. You have to live a righteous life. You have to be a righteous Jew. Now, as far as your DNA is concerned, to my knowledge, the DNA stays the same. But the Chatam Sofer writes that it's not only the soul of a convert that gets renewed, but there is a physical change. There is a physical change to the person that will happen once they convert. And I could tell you from many different examples that I have seen myself from different converts that I know, that I've helped, and so on. There is a physical change. There is a physical change. It's not necessarily immediately noticeable, but you see it happening. You see it happening. There's different things that are physical changes that converts go through. Just like the Chatam Sofer said. As far as whether it's DNA or not, I haven't tested it. Wouldn't be surprised if there is. I just don't know of it. Is education not allowed in a religious Jewish community? I'm just not going to answer you, because I know that if I answer you, you're going to be a crybaby and go to the social media police. But you should know that you're mocking the most intellectual people on planet Earth, the most educated people on planet Earth, to the point that you are closer to a monkey than you are to the intellect of a Bachur Yeshiva. Do you know of any tzaddik that performed open miracles in modern times, such as the Baba Sali? There's nobody like the Baba Sali. Baba Sali is a one of a kind, but is there open miracles? Yes. Is there miracles? Yes. I've, Baruch HaShem, merited to see it firsthand. Different people that, I've received blessings either from myself, from Rabbi Ephraim. I've received miracles. Certainly, there's many miracles that big tzaddikim have, like Rabbi Vadia Yosef, Rav Kanievsky, and many other chachamim have been publicized. So it's not a big secret that it exists, but it's not to the same extent like the tzaddikim of previous generations, like the Baba Sali, but certainly there are miracles. Rabbi, do you think there are Jewish women who would marry a convert? Plenty. Why not? I have many converts that married natural-born Jews. I actually even have a video on my channel of a wedding that we did for a guy that converted to a woman that was a natural-born Jew. Happens every day. Why not? Now, if you're going to ask me, would every Jewish woman marry a convert or every Jewish man marry a convert? No. Just like there is prejudice in every part of the world, in a Jewish world and a non-Jewish world, there's prejudice in regards to this. Some people prefer tea, some people prefer coffee, some people prefer short. Some people prefer, tall. Some people prefer a darker complexion. Some people prefer a lighter complexion. Some people prefer natural-born Jews. Some people prefer, a convert. Some people prefer a Ashkenazi. Some people prefer a Sephardi. People have their preferences. But is there people that are natural-born Jews that marry converts? Absolutely, every day. In fact, the majority of people that I know of, at least, and that I've heard of, that are converts end up marrying natural-born Jews. Usually the only times that you see converts marrying each other is if they were married already before. Why don't we use the hat in the bathroom, but we can use the kippah? The hat on top of the kippah is a custom. It's not an obligation. Why does the Torah say that if one blinds his fellow, he must repay him for his eyes, but if he leaves him deaf, he must repay for his whole body? The value of certain things are based on how much damage you're causing a person. How much could he function? How much could he? How much he could do without this loss, or with this loss? Can you recommend a Talmudic book with a lot of action? I don't know what that means. What do you mean by a lot of action? What do you mean a Talmudic book? You mean a tractate in the Gemara? It's based on who you are, what level you are. If you're new to the Talmud, that's one thing. If you are somebody that's already, let's say, learned half the Shas, it's something else. If you've looking for something else, then Rabbi, is it good to say the same Tehillim over and over again? You can, but sometimes it's better to say different Tehillim. Just do it, read from the beginning to the end. Can you say the same Tehillim over and over again? Sure. Depends what affects your neshama. There were certain chachamim that, especially the Baalei Mussar, that one of the ways that they would work on themselves is they would pick a certain Mishnah or a Ma'amar Chazal, a statement of the sages, and they would repeat it over and over again for hours until it became like engraved in their neshama. So if that's what you're trying to do, then yeah, say the same Tehillim 1,000,000 times. But if you're trying to do something else, like pray to Hashem, then it's usually better to do different Tehillim. But again, it depends. Different person, different circumstances. Rabbi, do you agree with everything in the Talmud? And is it a sin if I disagree with something in it? It's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing with the Talmud. A Jew must believe everything that's in the Talmud. And it's to such an extent that anyone, that the halacha is anyone that does not believe anything that's in the written or the oral Torah, which obviously the main part of it is the Talmud, is considered a heretic that has no share of the world to come. Now, if you are not Jewish, then the situation's slightly different for you. But as far as Jews are obligated to believe the entire written and the oral Torah, and a person that does not is considered a heretic and loses their olam haba. So it's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. Okay, Rabotai. Baruch Hashem, we've answered all the questions. Okay, last question. What should I read for Mussar and Halacha? If you're a beginner, and this will be your first Mussar book, I would suggest start off with Pirkei Avot. Get the Pirkei Avot. You can get the one by Art Scroll that has commentary on there, and I would actually even complement that by watching my series of Pirkei Avot that actually goes over each Mishnah in depth if you want to go that way. If you've already done Pirkei Avot and you want a specific type of Mussar book, if you want something that's easier to read but hits the spot, I would highly recommend the books by Rav Nisim Yagen. If you want things that are more, I guess, there's obviously the books by Rav Victor Miller also, it's a matter of preference. But if you want something that's more of the ancient teachings, more of the foundational teachings of Mussar, then I would go into Sha'arei Tshuva. Sha'arei Tshuva is a life changer. And I think that anybody that reads Sha'arei Tshuva and does not start crying within the first, several pages, let's call it even 20, 30 pages, should double check their pulse if they're still alive. Because it's a very, very good book. It's not about gruesome or anything like that. It's just, it tells you exactly, what's, tells you the truth without sugarcoating in any way, shape, or form. So Sha'arei Tshuva is very, very good, to say the least. If you're looking at something, again, it depends. It depends what level you're at. It depends what you've already read. But from what I understand, you're probably new. So I would say, if you are very, very new, you could start off with books by Rav Nisim Yagen. He has many books. You could get them at different websites online. I think his Sefarim Center has his books, and a few others have some of his books. We used to sell them, but we don't have any in stock right now. But you could buy them online. Baruch Hashem, we've marketed them enough that other people have started carrying them. Rav Nisim Yagen's books each one of them is full of chidushim, full of relevant. Every page, every paragraph is a life changer. He was, something out of this world. Just incomparable to anything that, you have in, just something unbelievable. He was a genius. He was, a tzaddik. He was somebody that was able to explain things in such a way where you're like scared to death, crying and laughing all at the same time. It's almost like amazing. So his books are, very good, and they're from his lectures. And whoever translated them did a fantastic job. Translation is a lot harder than people think. And whoever translated those books did a more than exceptional job. It's very, very well written. Usually translations are, unless they're done by a serious organization or a very high-level translator, usually translations are off. They're hard. Even the Rambam writes that translations are never going to be perfect. But the point is that there's high-quality translations and there's low-quality translations. I can tell you about, for example, my own personal experience. One time we tried we hired somebody to translate a book for us. And guess what? The translation went right into the garbage. And we've done it actually a couple of times. Once I read the translation, it's going to the shredder. Why? It wasn't good quality. And, as far as, translating it, it's, again, it takes a lot of time. Depends also on the context what kind of teachings and so on. Okay, Rabotai Karim, School Mitzvot, anyone that wants to donate and support, be partners with us, do Tikkunim for Tikkun HABRIT, for immorality, men and women, go to our website, bezatashem.org. There's the ability to do it there. Anyone that has not gotten themselves the AI Rabbi app, you're missing out, because it'll give you amazing answers for all of your questions, not just the simple stuff that you can figure out on your own, stuff that will give you really a lot of satisfaction for that you actually have this answer. Every person that actually uses it on a regular basis tells me that it's like a life changer for them, because there's just simply a lot of questions that either people are too shy to ask, uncomfortable to ask, or just different reasons that the AI Rabbi gives them a lot of clarity on things. Or they don't know who to ask. So the AI Rabbi Baruch Hashem has a lot of answers that are good, custom catered to each individual. So highly recommended. And last but not least, get the books from our Kiruv store for free, so you can distribute them in your community. You can get them on the website kiruvstore.org, KIRUVSTORE.org. You could get a box of books to distribute for free in your community. Please do not order a box of books just because you want one copy and you want to return to us the rest of it. That's gezel. That's not the deal. The reason why we're giving you a free box of books is because we're assuming, obviously, you're going to take one copy for yourself, but the rest of it you're going to distribute. If you're not willing to distribute, do not order from the Kiruv store, and certainly do not be one of these ungrateful people that just returns the stuff to us, because then that means that you've just simply wasted the company resources, and you have a very serious problem on your account. So, with that being said, Rabotai, Bracha v'Hatzlacha, and Bezrat Hashem, we're going to learn again next week. Shalom Bracha, Rabotai, we're finally here. The new Kiruv box. Opens up, got a nice little cushion here. We got let's see if it's charged. Isn't that amazing? Just a box in your life. Now available at bezatashem.org. bezatashem.org. Get yourself 20 of them, 30 of them, 50 of them. Distribute them to all the people that you care about. And you get people to do TeShuva.